Una disculpa, una dificultad técnica, me parece que no me estaba escuchando. De acuerdo. Como se estaba comentando, prosiguiendo con las actividades programadas, se lleva a cabo la conferencia en inglés denominada The New Challenges in the Company in the Digital Age. Se le solicita a la audiencia conforme vayan surgiendo las preguntas o comentarios, sean compartidos con antelación en el panel del chat. A continuación, la semblanza del Dr. Tutaleni, así.
Dr. Tutaleni I. Asino, doctor en aprendizaje, diseño y tecnología, así como en educación internacional corporativa por la Universidad de Penn State. Investigador experimentado, educador y diseñador apasionado por el empleo innovador de tecnologías en procesos de enseñanza-aprendizaje y rendimiento organizacional. Miembro activo de la Asociación para la Tecnología y las Comunicaciones Educativas. Se ha desempeñado como presidente de la División de Cultura, Aprendizaje y Tecnología, la Sociedad Internacional de Educación Comparativa y la Sociedad para Tecnologías de la Información y Educación. A nivel internacional, sus líneas de investigación abarcan el empleo de tecnologías emergentes en espacios de aprendizaje, aprendizaje móvil, difusión de innovación, entre otros tópicos. Actualmente es profesor en tecnología educativa y director en el Laboratorio de Creatividad y Tecnologías Emergentes en la Universidad del Estado de Oklahoma. Dr. Tutaleni Asino, bienvenido.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me join this conference. I'm very excited to be here. I hope everybody is hearing me okay. And if I'm not, I'm sure the host will tell me in the chat, and I'll be able to fix that. I do not have a PowerPoint today because I just really want to have a conversation based on this topic. So I hope everybody is hearing me okay. If I'm not coming on clear, if you want me to repeat something, please let me know. So the conversation today is about the new challenges that companies are facing in the digital age. And you would maybe be expecting that if as someone who is in a field that is about technology, that I will be promoting everything about technology. But I think you might end up being a bit surprised in terms of my perspectives on this topic. So I really want to have us think through a few things, to ask ourselves a few questions as we consider this topic. The first question, especially as it relates to wellness, which is the theme of the conference. When we talk about technology, when we talk about the digital age, we tend to often think about technology first. We tend to think about how technology is impacting us and all the changes that we're going to be facing. But I want us to ask ourselves this question. Are we supporting technology or is technology supporting us? And that question is important because one part puts technology first and another part puts the human first. So in other words, if we then look at this question from another perspective, is it technology first or is it the human first? I'm arguing that these days we are putting technology first and the human second. And I really think this part is wrong, and we need to be able to address that. But so I'm going to come back to that point, but I want to give us some things to think about as we consider this question. So, what is happening to the company and to the human beings in the digital age. What is happening to us today when we're living in this digital age? There's a few things that we need to think about, and the few things that we need to consider as we are experiencing this. The first one is this idea of publish or perish. For those of us who are in academia, we know this. We know that if you want to be a successful academic, you need to be able to present at conferences like I'm doing now. You need to be able to publish your work so people can read about it and so on. So we are used to this notion of publish or perish in our profession. But I think this is not just now in academia, it is also everywhere else. Entrepreneur magazine had an article where they said that there are about 70 million blog posts that are made every month. And they took that statistics from WordPress, which is a web site builder where people do a lot of blogging. So if you think about this, there's 70 million blog posts that are made every month. Now, that's just blog posts. That does not include websites that are being posted. That does not include Facebook posts, does not include Instagram, Snapchat, and all of these things. So in a world where 70 million blog posts are made each month, what that really means is that if you're not online today, you might as well not exist. If you're not online as a business, it means that people cannot find you. So there's this constant pressure for us to be consistently online and always plugged in. And think about it just in terms of our everyday work. We look for rankings for where to stay. If we're going on vacation, we look online and say, okay, how is this Airbnb ranked compared to the other one? How is this hotel ranked compared to the other one? So we're looking for that information. Before we go out to buy a refrigerator, a car, or anything like that, we look for information to let us know how well ranked that product is. Before we go to a restaurant, especially if we're traveling to a country where we have not been before or to an area where we're not familiar, we look for rankings. And overall, we are continuously looking for information to make all of our decisions. Now, that really means that there is no such thing as a lack of information anymore. And what I mean by that is that because we are always looking for information, not having information available is a form of information, right? So if you go online and search for my name and information about me come up, you can make a decision about me as a human being, as a scholar, as an individual, and say, okay, this person knows what they're talking about, or this person does not know what they're talking about. If you look for my name online and no information about me comes up, that also gives you information to be able to make a decision about me. Because then you can say, well, we can't invite Tutaleni to our conference because nobody has ever heard of him. There is nothing about him online. So the lack of information is itself information. So to take this a little bit further, it also means then that everybody has a digital footprint. We all have some information out there online about us. The only issue or the only question is, are you the one who is creating that digital footprint, or is somebody else the one who is creating that for you, right? So again, the concept here is about this publish or perish, where the argument that I'm making here is that there is a lot of information out there that we need to make decision. And even when we don't have that information, that is also information enough as well. Now, another point that we can consider as a challenge, as some of the new challenges to companies in the digital age, is the need for us to understand change. So we need to understand the need to change, and we also need to understand the resistance to these changes. So it's not just about understanding the need to change, but we also need to understand the resistance that that a lot of us are going to be facing. And we need to be able to manage those changes, right? What does that mean? What this really means is that as I'm sure many people have already spoken yesterday and today, and UPAEP has many wonderful scholars in the area of psychology, and they can affirm this. We know that most humans like consistency and predictability, right? So in a world where chaos is often the norm, this is directly interfering with our basic human need for consistency and predictability. So, chaos often has a negative connotation, but really, all that chaos is this idea of lack of predictability. If I know that tomorrow when I wake up, I'm going to be able to find my shoes that I can wear to go to work, right? That's a predictable situation that I have. But if I know that I'm required to go to work every single day, but I don't know where I'm going to be able to find my shoes tomorrow, that lack of predictability is going to sort of mess with my mind. And that's just a very sort of simple, basic scenario. We can take it even further in terms of um, if do I know that I'm going to have a job tomorrow? If I don't know if my job is secure every single day, that introduces a certain level of chaos that can be very disruptive to my well-being. So in companies, employees, managers, and even companies themselves can all fear and resist this change. And it can lead to skepticism, even maybe sabotage that we need to overcome. So when we try as an organization to introduce innovative ideas, when we try to introduce new tools, this makes people nervous because there's an element of the unknown that people are facing. And we know that from diffusion of innovation work that many innovations fail because people are just not persuaded that these innovations are beneficial to them. So it's not just enough for us to understand the need to change. It's also important for us to understand the resistance to that change, so that we can manage it. So again, the second part that companies, I believe, are facing in this digital age is understanding the need to change and understanding the resistance to that change and ways to manage it. So I hope we are still good. I hope we're still together. So if not, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll just keep going here. So the third part that companies and all of us human beings are really facing these days is uh, connectivity. We are all, in a way, very much globally connected, right? What does that mean? It basically means that um, we are, no matter where we are situated, no matter where we are standing, whether we are, in Las Vegas, where I am right now, or whether you are in Puebla, whether you are in Mexico City, whether you are in Sydney, Australia, you can be as connected to your loved one, to your company, as you are standing next to that person. Of course, not everybody can do this. There's also other issues of internet connectivity and infrastructure issues. But in terms of companies and organization, it basically means that technology such as the technologies that enable the Internet of Things are going to continue to grow over the next few years. And they're going to become fixtures in our offices. They're going to be permanently available in our homes, in the way of doing business, and so forth. Here's an example. So I can be able to monitor my house with a security camera, whether I'm standing or seated in Windhoek, Namibia, or if I'm in Puebla, or if I'm in Zagreb, Croatia. And if somebody breaks into my house, I can call the police and be able to report them from there. I can order an Uber for my child who is going to school in Mexico City while I'm sitting in a meeting in Montreal. I can, my refrigerator can tell me that I'm out of Coca-Cola while I'm in Sydney, Australia, even though my house is located in Seattle, right? So there's a lot of possibilities here that the Internet of Things, for example, and all of these technologies are going to offer us. But there's also enormous challenges and issues around human wellness that these technologies bring. There's issues of security threats and so forth. We found that around COVID, when people were going online and learning through Zoom and so forth, that there were a lot of Zoom bombing and there were a lot of harassments online and all of these things. So as we continue to be globally connected, there's also an assault to our wellness, to our humanity, that these technologies also have on us. So again, the third part here about these new challenges is being globally connected, but also being globally connected to these opportunities and challenges that we are facing all around the world. So the other part is that there is a massive information overload. We are faced by information all the time, and we need to be able to figure out a way to consume this and be able to make sense of it. From an organization standpoint, then what this means is that it's not just about attracting talent, it's also about keeping that talent. And you can only do that in terms of investing in the people who are in your organization. So the question here then is, in a world where I can work from anywhere, where I can work for anyone, why should I work for you, right? So if I'm no longer required to be physically present at my university, why am I going to work for the university that is in my hometown? Because now I can work for a university anywhere in the world. All of these issues have ramification to our human behavior, to our notion of wellness, because it can also then inform whether or not people will be able to pay taxes in certain places. It will impact the kind of services that countries and communities can offer. And so it has a lot of ramifications. Different countries are offering digital nomad visas so that people can go somewhere and work for an extended time without having to migrate there. So there's all of these things that are coming that we have to consider when we're talking about how to attract talent, how to keep talent, and so forth. Because in this age, it's not just the millennials who are looking for non-traditional work structures. It's even older people who are looking for flexibility, who are looking to be appreciated, who are looking for meaningful work, and so on. And a lot of this has also been as a result of COVID, where we have gotten used to being able to work in a hybrid experience. So let me sort of start to sum up my contribution here by giving us a few more things to think about. In amongst these challenges that companies face in the digital age is a need for us really to build a culture of learning, right? To build that culture of learning, but also to support that culture of learning, because the future of work is evolving very, very quickly. People need new skills, they need to be reskilled, and these things are going to be the norm in the new digital age and in the new economy. So we need to figure out how to be able to um, achieve this in this new digital age. So to sum up some of these challenges, for me is, you know, as I said earlier, we are globally connected, which means that we are on all the time. There's a pressure for us to be able to know all these new technologies and how to use these new technologies all the time. So that's what I was referencing to, needing to support the culture of learning. There's a disconnect sometimes between the needs of organizations and the need of the individual. How do we address that? People are looking for flexibility in the future of work. There's a constant stress in the workplace because people are worrying about whether or not they're going to have a job in the future. Will they be replaced by a machine? Are they learning enough? So there's this constant tension and this constant threat that people are facing. But I want to end my contribution sort of where I started. Again, here, I asked an initial question: are we supporting technology, or is technology supporting us? The way we answer that question has a lot of ramification to what we understand about our future. My argument is that whenever we talk about technology or the digital age, we are constantly putting the technology first, and we're putting the human second. Every time we talk about the future, we tend to emphasize technology, and we are not putting the human at the forefront. What will happen is that if we take a humanistic standpoint and think of humans first and technology second, that changes the way we look at things. So, what happens if we take a humanistic standpoint? Will we then design solutions that are more human centered? Will we prioritize how humans impact the technology rather than how we are impacted by these technologies? Would we prioritize human wellness more than constantly being in survival mode and surviving this technology? I think that we are setting up the future where humans are constantly in a survival mode. We are constantly afraid of technology coming to destroy us. We are constantly surviving the technology that is going to take our jobs. We are surviving the technology that will make some of our students cheat on exams. Um, we are surviving this artificial intelligence that is maybe going to render humans useless. So, the way we talk about the digital future, we are constantly setting up a future where humans are in constant fight or flight mode. And I think this has a significant impact on our wellness. So the question that I want to leave us with, the question that we have to ask ourselves: what does it mean to put humans first and technology second? What does that mean for each of our workplace, for each of our industry? Because this can look different based on industry, based on person to person, from country to country. It can mean different from context to context. But I do believe that the future of wellness depends on what it means for us to put humans first and technology in a supportive role. That for me is really what the company that figures that out in the future is a company that is going to succeed. If you get able to figure out um, how to put humans first and technology second, the future of wellness depends on what it means to do that. So I'm going to pause here and say thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope we can maybe have some questions or conversations. Okay. I have a question here in the chat. Do you consider the human office as an advantage or disadvantage for organizations? Here in Latin America, some bosses can be close-minded or resistant to change or not flexible at all with these emergent tendencies. I think the answer for me there is yes. It can be both an advantage and a disadvantage. And here's what I mean by that. The advantage, of course, is that it offers the worker a lot of flexibility because you can work from home and be able to be present to maybe your aging parents, your children, or so forth. But the disadvantage is also that it means that you're on all the time. Your organization might expect you to be able to answer messages, whether it's at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. So I think there's a lot of disadvantages and advantages to it. But I think organizations need to embrace this flexibility because it's not just about working from home or working from somewhere else. It's about having the flexibility to work in different places. I think companies that resist this, bosses that resist this, is because they think that if you're at home, you're not working, that somehow you have to go into the office physically to be able to do your work. But I can work just as hard whether I'm in the office or whether I'm in another country. Or on the other side, I can be just as lazy if I am sitting in my office or if I'm sitting in my bedroom. So I think it has both advantages and disadvantages. Right? How technologies can be used during wellness and organization programs. For example, in educational spaces, thinking of teachers as a worker. I think there's a lot of different technologies here that can be used for wellness, and what I'm most excited about is a lot of these emerging technological tools that we have at our disposal. So, for example, virtual reality and augmented reality is offering us a lot of different opportunities that we can use. So I think it allows us to be more present in these spaces and adds additional realism to our engagement rather than just two-dimensional technologies. So I think we have a lot of opportunities there. I think there's so many different technologies in promoting wellness. There's a lot of opportunities to use different tools that are out there for to engage with people across the organization, to be able to give teachers opportunities to there's a lot of different apps, mobile apps that you can use to promote wellness. There's just a lot of different technologies that are out there. Another question here is what to do in a case our career is at risk or is being replaced by technology. Well, I think this is a constant concern that people have. But I think this concern has been around for the longest time. So when we moved from the first to the second industrial revolution to the third to the fourth and so on, even just thinking about moving from a horse drawn carriage to to an automobile, we've always had all of these issues about people being replaced by technology. But I think this is what we need to figure out about um, how to upskill and reskill different workers, how to learn about all of these new technologies, these new innovations. So, for example, in the early 1900s, Thomas Edison made a prediction that by 2000, teachers are going to be replaced by technologies. And I think some of those arguments are a little bit unrealistic, because technology is still going to need human beings to be able to do the programming, to be able to do certain things. So I think there's some stuff that we are going to be able to automate, that technology can do some of this work, but there's going to be some work that we are just not going to be able to hand over to technology. Uh, I don't think that it's going to necessarily be the human being replaced, but where a technology can take over automated tasks, there's still going to be other emerging professions where humans are going to be needed. How can organizations avoid being dependent to technologies? I don't know, to be honest, if that's possible, because I think technology is going to we're going to need technology. We're going to need we're going to have, so for example, there's going to be hazardous and risky spaces where technology is going to be needed to go so that we can save human lives and so forth. So I don't know if we can really remove dependency on technology, but I think we can manage how that dependency takes place, right? What do you think of resistance to change that is current? I think this is a constant human behavior. I think that, as I said from my earlier slide, is that humans like predictability, and change interferes with that predictability. So we're always going to be resistant to change because it's making us do things that we're not necessarily comfortable with, or things that are unpredictable. So we're going to have to figure out a way to manage that change, because change is constant. It is the one thing that has always been happening throughout human history. So we're going to have to figure out a way to address that. Do you have any recommendations regarding the disadvantages of technology for someone that is developing software? Oh, that's a broad question. I think it depends on a variety of things, I guess, on what software is being developed. But I think for me, it's really to put the human first, and to ask, why are we developing this technology, and how is this going to be able to help human behavior? I think if you put your the human at the center, that is going to help whatever technology that you're going to be developing. Another question here is that people rely on technology as a lifestyle. I think, technology in some way is a tool like our arms and our hands and our legs. So if somebody asks you, how are you going to stop your dependency on your legs, on your hands, on your arms, that will sound like a funny question, but those are your tools as well. So I think, we have to use these things in moderation, and be able to really use them in such a way that it doesn't make us lose our humanity. I think at the end of the day, the more we advance in this technology, is that we have to ask ourselves, what does it mean to be human? And as we are engaging and encountering more and more of these technologies, we are really going to have to answer that question is, what does it mean to be human in the digital age? That's a question that we need to answer, because right now we're too obsessed with what is this technology going to do for us and so forth, but we haven't answered this question, which can also be philosophical. What does it mean to be human in the age that we have all of these advances in all of these technologies? Okay, I don't think I have any more questions in there.
Okay. We're waiting for any more questions. Sara Alejandra Castillo Mendoza, she's saying thank you for the response. ¿Al público alguna otra pregunta o comentario para el doctor? Okay, let's wait some seconds. There are some greetings. People saying thank you for the information. Okay, let's wait. Okay, it seems there are no more questions. So we want to thank Dr. Tutoleni for the content shared at the lecture. And also, UPAEP appreciates your valuable participation in the forum, hoping to count on your presence, Doctor, again on future occasions. Is there anything else you want to say or share with us?
No, thank you so much for this opportunity to be present with you in this conference. I hope that my remarks generated some interest and leave out with some things to think about. And I just wish you a good rest of the day.
Thank you, Doctor. Is there any way to contact or platform to view your work or investigation?
Absolutely. I think you can provide, I'm happy to provide my email address
Thank you very much.
in the chat, and also my website as well, if anybody is interested in seeing what some of the stuff that I'm working in. So that is also available. And I am active on Twitter, so you can always follow me there as well, because I tend to share a lot of my information there as well.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for sharing all these ways to reach you.
Yes.
The email, the website, and also some social media. Dr. Tutoleni, have a nice day and
Thank you.
take care.
Bye-bye.
Muy bien, agradecemos al auditorio permanecer en línea y los invitamos a continuar en la transmisión. En unos minutos regresamos con el siguiente evento. Muchas gracias.